The next stage of the ventilator is to start troubleshooting and to try to understand what's happening on the ventilator. One of the main functions of the vent is you can start to look at the parameters of what the patient is doing by hitting the select button. As you can see from the dialog box, the respiratory rate is 15. If you hit select again, it will continue to cycle through. You notice that the minute ventilation is 0 mLs, and that's because it's on BiPAP and the machine can't accurately assess the volumes. Again, it can't assess the volumes. This is the IDE ratio. In this case, it's variable because it's on BiPAP. In his case, it's 14:1. The peak inspiratory pressure is measured at 8. That's an average. You can also get a sense of the peak inspiratory pressure by looking at this top gauge. You can circle through, you can play with this. There's maps, there's peeps, and then eventually we'll get back to the respiratory rate. But we're here to talk about alarms. This patient is currently on CPAP alone. The way you know that is because the pressure support is down to 0 and the PEEP is set at 5, which is a CPAP mode. There are 3 main alarms that are on the right-hand side of the machine, and these are the high pressure limit, the low pressure limit, and the low minute volume limit. As you can see, the high pressure limit is set at 40, and I've turned off the low pressure and low minute volume settings. That's because in BiPAP, the machine, because of leak around the mask, will continue to alarm in these settings. Notice if I turn the low pressure up to 10 and hit select, pretty soon it's going to alarm for low pressure. Right on cue, it's alarming for low pressure because there's a leak around the mask, which is inevitable with BiPAP. This alarm is mostly for times when you have a patient on the vent. In order to turn off a beeping alarm, you have to hit the silence reset button, which is on the right. It's the most important button on the machine because it becomes extremely annoying to have the machine continue to alarm at you. If you want to turn off that alarm, you hit the button, dial it to 0, and then select it again. You'll no longer have a low pressure alarm. The same is true for the low minute volume alarm. Again, in BiPAP, it can't accurately assess the tidal volumes, and so low minute volume will continue to alarm. These are the 3 most important alarms and the most commonly alarming buttons. You notice that the low pressure alarm continues to blink after I'm finished. If you want to get rid of that alarm, you just continue to hit silence reset until it goes away. There are some more advanced alarms which you can read your manual to find out more about. Suffice to say, the easiest way to get there is to hold the select button, and when you hold it for long enough, you see an alarm op box, which you can hit select on, and you can get to other alarms that might be bothering you depending on your situation, particularly in patients who are ventilated. I hope this has been helpful. This is a very brief primer on how to use BiPAP. And thank you to our very helpful patient and our cameraman. I hope you find this very helpful. And please reference the LTV user's guide if you have further questions. Thanks a lot.